All right. Let's have a conversation.
Let's get it.
I'm with a DJ, okay? I've never claimed to be a DJ. I like to start a lot of the podcast episodes with me running tunes, going crazy. I try to do a little bit of blends, but I'll never, ever say that I'm a DJ because I respect the craft of DJing. Okay?
I do too.
So I want to take you into a zone here before we get into it, and then
let's see what you got. No one's judging.
All right. Let's see if we can get into the zone with something like this.
New clothes on them fly, cars is whips and sneakers is kicks, money is chips, movies is flips.
Also crypto.
Holy we are back. You know what I'm saying? I'm on location. It's like I can't even find a Visionary Arts studio anymore, yo. I'm always on road, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I have the special honor to be doing this interview here with a young legend in the game. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, like, you know, you've been accomplishing a lot of things in a short space of time, but you've been putting in work for a long space of time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, without even really realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me personally, it all starts just from the love of hip hop. Evidently.
Well, of course, because we're running some Big L, right? So for the people who are in the listening audience, you know what I mean? I'm over here, and what's the name of the studio?
Junior Recordings.
Okay, I'm over here at Junior Recording Studio with this young lady that I have the honor to be interviewing today, Miss DJ T Junior. TJ Aura.
I've gotten that before, but yeah, T Junior.
Yeah. So okay, mental health check. How we're at the end of the summer now. We're winding down, or actually we're in the fall. You know, I'm getting close to the winter, starting to get cold outside. How's your year been?
Amazing.
Talk to me. What's been the highlight of the year?
Everything. The journey. Mm-hmm. You know, I always thought the highlight was going to be winning.
Okay.
You know, because we're always aiming for that W, and which we'll get into a little bit later on. But at the top of the year, and I talked about this previously at another podcast, but we're here with We Love Hip Hop.
We love hip hop.
So let's get it popping.
I got a sound effect for that.
We love hip hop. Yes, we do. And at the top of the year, I just made a commitment to myself to just lock in extra, focus extra. I was very focused on the DMC DJ Championships, which is one of the most prestigious DJ competitions in the world.
It is.
And I every single week, every single day, I put in the work just to get to that next level. You know, my journey was very much focused around that one major goal.
Okay.
My goal was to win #1 in Canada. And I did, and I'm very, very excited about it. Making history for myself as well as just for women in general. I think it's also very cool.
Yeah. To be the first female DMC champion.
For Canada. Yeah.
Okay. That's dope.
Yeah. You know, so I just want to inspire. I wanted to just, you know, inspire myself and inspire others in the process. So my year's been amazing. I can't wait to lock in during these next few months and then start planning, you know, thinking about next year. Contrary to a lot of what people might think or what they prefer, I love when it starts getting cold.
Okay.
I think it has to do a lot with the studio environment as well. So I just feel more locked in. I feel like there's less noise.
Yeah.
You know, you
less
can
distractions.
Yeah, you can block it out. And that's what I had to do at the top of the year and throughout the whole year. So it was a whole year's effort to get to that W. And it continues though, because now I'm preparing for Worlds. And I just submitted my 2-minute elimination video yesterday.
Okay.
Just yesterday. So that's I'll show it to you for the World Championship.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have you ever competed in the World Championship before?
I have, and it was not for DMCs.
Okay. Because you've done other championship, like your other stuff, like the Goldies, the Red Bull, different things like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So at a world scale, it was the Goldie Awards in 2019.
Nice.
So with that, they select the top 8 DJs in the world and the top 8 beat makers, and you just it's 8Tracks Goldie Awards. So he had us go out,
named after his label.
Yeah, exactly. So he had us all go out to New York at the Brooklyn Steel, and what an amazing experience! And salute to him for having the team and the resource and just everything. The experience was amazing. He took care of us. Everything was super organized. You know, he understands from a DJ and artist perspective. Just he wanted us to focus on our craft and have everything taken care of, and he did. So that was at a world level, and it was an amazing experience. You know, you have judges like DJ Craze, Jess Blaze.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, you're getting, those are the guys that you're trying to impress.
Yeah, and you're making connections at the same time, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so even like before we go back into your history, like I know with DJing, right? Like no matter how old you are or how young you are, there's always, most of the time there's a mentor.
Yes.
Did you have a DJ mentor?
I had 3, have 4.
Okay.
So I can speak a little bit, and I'm super.
No, speak a lot of bit about them. Like we potted.
And I always give respect and credit where it's due. You know, one of my biggest idols is obviously Kobe. So I always have that curiosity in me. So when I try and look back in time and try and think of like, who was I back then? And it's still the same person I am today. It's just I'm trying to look back in time. I was always curious, always wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing at that time.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was super inspired by hip hop, specifically 90s East Coast hip hop from New York. So my first job was at Loblaws.
Wow.
A grocery store. And I was someone who I couldn't wait to get to work because I just wanted that independence and freedom to do what I wanted to do, right? And at that time, I was just like, my goal was, you know, do well in school. And then I loved hip hop, so I'd always just be searching for everything, basically. And my manager at the time, he had a certain swag to him. So then I would always just be like, you know, what kind of music do you listen to? I was 15 at the time.
Right.
And he's looking at me like, what's this little kid asking you about? You don't know. You know, he kind of gave me that sense. And I was like, I bet I do. And then he started naming off. I think he said something like, might have been like MC Shan.
Wow.
Karis One, Big Daddy Kane. Rakim's his favorite artist. So then I started speaking that language. You know, I started talking about the albums, you know, Boogie Down Productions, you know?
Really delving back into the day.
Yeah. And then he's like, how do you know this? And I'm like, because I've researched it. And then he's like, okay, this is different. I've never had to experience this.
Yeah.
And then, he became, you know, like a older brother to me throughout the years, and someone I could just ask questions. And eventually I got my first pair of turntables because of him.
Okay.
I heard him scratch. I had no interest in being a DJ at that point, actually.
Yeah.
But I did. Early on, I said, give me all your mixtapes. He had, do you remember those CD cases? You would just flip through. It looks like a book.
I don't only remember one. I just had to like dig one of those and like move it somewhere else in like all my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like I just literally seen one of those like a week ago. Yeah.
He gave me it might have been 100 CDs.
Yeah.
Mixtapes.
Yeah, those hold a lot.
He's like, take this, study it, do whatever you want, burn them. I'm like, I'm not done burning them. I had a list of like which ones were encoded, which ones were burned. I have that list till this day, and he could.
You were intricate with it, eh?
Yeah, and I wrote down every track list, and then I would write down lyrics as well, just so I can. I'm not a writer, I'm a reciter. That's why I knew the bars.
Okay, so that actually brings me to a question. Were you like doing any type of work before, or like even in school, were you inclined to like be like, you know, very efficient and like, you know, listing things, itineraries, data entry, that type of thing? Like, were you like organized? Like, were you always organized?
This is an amazing question, because if you ask my family, they'll say no. But if you ask creatively and artistically, yes, because I actually want to go into art school. I can draw. Yeah. And I think most people don't know that. I don't talk about it. But originally it was, you know, fine arts. Okay. And I love drawing with pencil. That's my favorite medium. And I was very intricate. I was so intricate with the details. I remember this in grade 9. Even back then it was competitive because I didn't really know how good I was at drawing until there was a competition. Okay. In the first day of class, the teacher goes, whoever draws the best sphere with the light pointing down and on it will get a prize. And then I just went to work and I won. And I was like, this is cool. I want more. Let's go. I want to be like, I want to be the
really trying that
I want to
hard.
be the best artist. And then there's only one other person in the class. She was sort of like a natural, right? We had different styles, but then I ended up getting the highest art grade in the entire school. And then I told my parents, I was like, yeah, this is, they're immigrants, right? From Macedonia, both of them. So they kind of came here with the mindset of
get a job.
Yes.
Be a doctor, lawyer, anything.
Doctor, lawyer, right.
Those things that make $60K a year and up. That's immigrant parents want that.
Yeah.
You know
so they go art. Like, you know, the teachers tried to sort of speak to them and they're like, yeah. And we went home. They're like, no. And they're like, you're going to take science.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no problem.
They're like, art's not a job.
yeah. Pretty much. And that's just the mentality from that generation and where I come from, my roots, right? Which I'm totally proud of. And I'm, you know, my parents did a great job too. But the art creative side still manifested itself. It never left. So when it comes to being very meticulous, I might not be the most organized in terms of like listing things, but I'm very meticulous. I'm very detail oriented. It's all in the details. And I think that that's where a lot of people tend to look over, or they don't look at the details, but you have to. That's all I can see and hear is the details.
Paying attention to the details.
That's always been me. I remember when I had an art project, back to the art thing. And because of I like pencil because it's you can do very, very detailed fine work with it. I had to draw, I think it was a lion cub, or maybe a tiger. And the art teacher comes over and she goes, that the rock, she's like, you're spending too much time on the rock. There was a rock in front of the tiger. She's like, you're gonna run out of time. And now when I look back I still have that art piece. The rock looks 3D in relative
details on the rock
relative to the cub, because I just didn't have time. If I wanted to do it, you know, if I wanted to stretch the time, I would have taken way longer and had that detail that I wanted to. So that's just, you know, just staying sharp in that way. That's always been my thing, you know. Now, if you see me as a DJ and competitively, the way that I piece together routines and even the sound selection, just the fine movements of it, right? It's very meticulous. So,
and even for when we were talking about behind the scenes, like when we were discussing like the Nipsey Hussle mixtape and stuff like that, there's intention
and everything. For that. So when it comes to the art side, I put all my organizational efforts towards that. So I had a Word document open and I wrote Nipsey Hussle tribute mix. And then I listed all his mixtapes, every single he's ever been on, every feature, everything.
Wow.
And then I started to just look at it, sort of, you know, I took a step back and I just looked at the big picture and I'm like, what do I want to say and how can I say it?
Yeah.
Because essentially, if you're drawing music from a mixtape, it's a mixtape quality, which means it has not been mixed and mastered.
Yeah.
So essentially what I had to do was make a mixtape of a mixtape, but also make it sound, you know,
remastered basically.
Yeah, playable and remastered. And also I'm thinking about the intro. What do I want to say? How do I want to tell his story from his perspective, but, you know, also include my style.
Yes.
So I started to write my intro, and then I had this many tracks. These are the songs I've shortlisted, and then I want to build up some excitement because if I'm at the gym, now I want it to pick up. Yeah, I want to pick up the pace.
And not to interrupt you, also have to keep in mind like what's going to blend with what, even if you want to tell the stories. Yeah, the keys.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about key as well, and then I sort of had to sequence it in a very particular way.
Yeah.
So it's sonically that it sounds good to the listener. You know, someone who's not an audio engineer or not in the music industry gives me the best feedbacks, and sometimes because they're the ones that'll tell you. They may not know why something is good, but they know when something's bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they know how it made them feel.
Yeah. They'll know what makes them feel good. So that's my goal when it comes to music as an engineer, as a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even like, and just to stay on that for a quick minute, because I find that super interesting. Like, with something that meticulous, right? And like the listing and everything that you put together, and like having to think of your tempos and all that, like how long would something like that take to to create from beginning to end?
That tape took me a while. Because I cared.
Mm-hmm.
And I obviously was working on other things throughout that time.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been another year that I was doing competition. So that was also a focus. And I remember someone was rushing me to do they're like, you got to put out a nip tape. You got to put out a nip tape. People are already putting them out.
Yeah.
And I remember that conversation, and I go, I don't care who's putting out anything, because it's not going to sound like what I'm putting out. And I want to put in work, and I want to put in time and effort, right? Because you can tell that the people that rushed into it weren't even a fan of nip. Yeah. They just hopped on.
It was a wave thing.
Yeah, it was a wave thing. And then which fine, that's one part of it, that they want to hop on the wave. But on the other hand, it was like, you didn't even blend the tracks.
Yeah, because they just everything that you described, the time that it takes to put everything together, you still have to keep in mind, is it going to sound good next to each other and stuff? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that really shows the love of hip hop. Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of the love of hip hop, I'm going to throw a name at you.
Right.
I want you to tell me what this name means to you. Marshall Mathers. Shout out to our sponsors, Astro Pink, always coming with that loud. Check them out on their website, myastropink.com, or you can hit them up on Instagram at astro_pink. If you know, you know.
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
And it's funny that you mentioned Marshall Mathers, because prior to this interview today, I was watching the interview on Hotboxing with Mike Tyson featuring M.
That was a good interview.
Yeah. And I just usually it's Kobe. I'm usually watching Kobe interviews. And another ironic thing that you brought up, M, is the fact that that's the artist and the first album that I listened to and got my hands on.
You stole it from your uncle.
Yeah.
I do my research.
That was the first thing. That was the first piece of art. And I go, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. I need to know more.
Yeah.
And from there, it sort of took off for me in terms of the love for hip hop. I was super attracted to hip hop, and there was so many other genres, right? But there was nothing that moved me quite like hip hop.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, M talked about that in the interview. And he's like, I didn't really get into rock and roll like everybody else. I didn't get into this genre. He's like, it was hip hop. And I gravitated towards hip hop at such an early age. And I feel like I just could relate to it on so many levels. You know, there's so many. Hip hop is the one. And I thought about this, and I still think about why. Right. And it's definitely a great outlet.
Yeah.
And also, if you think about the number of words per song, hip hop taught me a lot about movies. Hip hop raised me, like the book. You know the book right there. That's my hip hop Bible. But if you look at how many words are in a hip hop song, and what what you can learn with each line, and all the references and the entendres, the double, you can actually learn a lot. So I feel like there's a song for everything that you're also going through emotionally. So that's part of it as well for me.
Yeah. That's dope. And you even mentioned like the amount of words in hip hop, and a couple of things come to my mind. Like M won a competition, or not a competition. He won like not an award, but like a feat, like a Guinness book, a record. That's what it is. A record. Yeah. He won a record for the most amount of words in hip hop songs or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the statistic was, but he uses the most amount of words per song or per verse every time that he raps. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
I think it was alluding also to Rap God.
Yeah. Right? It might have been for the one song. It was something there was some kind of record that he broke around that time. And I was like, there's a record for that? Holy shit.
He did that. Yeah.
Secondly, even, you have Macedonian parents, right?
Right.
when you were growing up, you didn't know how to speak English.
That's right. So
Did hip hop help with that?
So I was born here. Did not know English when I started school, and neither did my sister, who's older. And we were in JK, and my brother wasn't born at the time. We were in JK and SK together, and we're speaking Macedonian to each other. And they would always split us, and we're like, we don't know, we have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I think hip hop, it probably did help, and I don't know why. But if you don't, I picked up English rather quickly, and then I ended up winning English awards.
Okay.
Ironically, after they put me in ESL for no reason, but they did that, and then I'm like, you want to put me in ESL? I know English. This was grade 8. I'm like, I know English at this point.
In grade 8, they had you in ESL?
Yeah, because I transferred schools, and then my sister didn't get put in ESL. Why did it put me? And I was like, all right, you want to put me in? I'm gonna win the award.
Yeah.
So it's always been competitive without knowing it. But I think hip hop just allowed me to express myself.
Yeah.
And it gives me confidence. It gives you that confidence that other genres may not. R&B it hits you in a different. I think it allows you to sit in a different emotion. That I don't want to sit in those emotions and those frequencies too long.
Yeah.
Maybe it works for some people. I know certain people that listen to Babyface in the gym, and I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, me neither. But
I need Mobb Deep. I need Hell on Earth. I need G Unit. I need 50 Cent.
Wow, she said Hell on Earth. That's how I know you're a hip hop head, because you didn't go to the Infamous album. You went to the real gem album. Like, people don't know that Hell on Earth album is the one.
Oh
man,
it is. Every track is amazing. I love Havoc and Prodigy too.
R.I.P.P.
R.I.P.P. for real.
So tell me about growing up in Scarborough.
Growing up in Scarborough is, and you probably did see my story on that as well. It was lovely. I think I spent up to maybe grade 4 there. But my fondest memories and just my upbringing was in Scarborough at my grandmother's house with my grandparents, both my parents there. And then once my brother was born, obviously we had to, the house got too big. And my uncle was always there. He'd always bring my cousins there. It was always, very tight-knit family. And we just always looked out for each other. We're very family-oriented and very big on our morals and principles and just trying to stick together. So it's sort of that mafia loyalty in a way.
Yeah.
Like, without saying anything, my siblings, we got each other. I got your back. Like, it goes without saying. So Scarborough was, it was a good time. And you all eventually started moving further out east and stuff like that, like the Durham area and stuff like that. When you started getting into the DJing, like you said, like around 18, 19, your first set of turntables. I'd say 18. Yeah, I think it was 18.
Right?
Yeah.
Did that affect you getting into like the music stuff? Because like the further you move away from, like, I feel from Toronto, it makes it harder to like get into this entertainment game.
You know what? In a way, I think it's always difficult because you don't. At that point, when you're starting out, I actually never had expectations to be in the music industry. It was just something to be creative with. I always like to express myself creatively. And that was how I liked to spend my time, because I didn't really fit in with people in high school. I was friends with people, but I was not, I was cool with everyone, but I still felt like they didn't get me.
Right.
And everyone was very surface level thinkers. So when you feel like you're thinking beyond that all the time, or you're like, they don't get me.
Yeah.
They don't get me. I feel different. You go in any room, you're like, I'm friends with these people, but they don't get me.
Yeah.
So when I turned to music, I was like, music gets me, and I get music. Music was so much easier to understand for me than certain people, and it was always there for me. I could always go to it, and it was fun. I don't have to go out on the weekends. I can just focus on my craft.
Yeah.
And without knowing it, over time, you're working hard at something. And I would have much rather just been focusing on music than going out drinking, partying. It just, I was not really interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And
you've been focused on music.
Yeah, without even knowing it throughout the journey. And I think even I was looking a lot into the New York scene. And then I learned about the West Coast, the Dr. Dre's, Exhibit, everyone out west. And then I learned about the Toronto scene. I was late. I mean, I didn't really know anyone in Toronto like that in the music scene. But I do remember the first track that caught my ear while I was driving. This was years ago. It was The City Is Mine by Drake.
Wow.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I forget what year that was.
That's about 2003 or 4, maybe.
Was it?
Yeah.
So that when I heard that play on the radio for the first time, I couldn't remember what they said, who the artist was. At that point, I don't think I knew of him at that point in time.
Right.
And I wasn't really listening to local radio that much. So when I heard that, it caught my ear immediately. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? I wrote it down in my notes, like the lyrics that I remembered. I was like, who is this guy? Like he's amazing. And all I knew is that he was from Toronto, because obviously it's playing on the radio stations here. Yeah.
That was a Flow classic.
Yeah. And after that, I slowly began to network in the Toronto scene, mainly on the DJ side of things. So I would go out and make it a point to watch other competitors. I wasn't even thinking about competing at that point. I always sort of dreamed of it, like I want to do that one day.
Yeah.
But I was so fascinated by what these guys could do live, like DJ Vect, DJ Juice from Hamilton. Like I was inspired by these guys. And then I went to a show from yet another mentor, DJ Cal, who, when I was doing my undergrad at U of T, that's where I sort of met him. And then he's like, wow, like I've never seen, like I think he felt that the art form was not that popular anymore.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up, something that we're going to be discussing later on as well. So continue. Yeah,
so at that point, I guess he was just thrilled to teach what he knew, because someone's receptive to it, receptive to learning. And the other day I came across emails that I sent to him. This was so long ago, and I would bombard him literally with MP3s that I would record and say, evaluate how my scratching sounds.
Yeah.
How does this sound to you? And then he'd say, do this. He'd give me feedback, but through email. And then, I just kept carrying forward. I just wanted to learn more. Then I went to a DMC show with him, and that's where I met the Turnstiles crew, D Scratch. So DJ Cal looked up to D Scratch, and that's where I met him. And, Little Jazz, DJ Grouch. These are
salute to Grouch.
Yeah. So all three of the Toronto legends.
Yeah.
And, they paved the way. They paved the way for me. And then, throughout that time, I think, D Scratch is like, who is this girl? Like, you can scratch? So I learned from him. He was the first person who taught me the fundamentals of beat juggling.
Okay.
Yeah. And he taught me a lot. He spent, we have hours upon hours of just, practicing and him just teach. I was a student. I'm like, I'm ready to learn. And, I'm forever grateful that, that I have these mentors along my journey. And then from there, I met DJ Vect, who's a 7-time world champion. 7-time world champion.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was learning off of him. So everyone, was super important in my journey. And of course, you have to put in the work. Otherwise, they're not going to waste their time.
Yeah. These are legends you're talking about.
Yeah. These are legends. So just generationally, I was able to, tap it. I don't know. It tap into the DJ world.
Well, more than just the DJing world, because there's different levels to it, right? There's DJs who they go play clubs, they know how to mix, you know what I'm saying? They know how to blend and stuff like that. And that's cool, right? But you're a turntablist.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
let's get technical about it. Like,
Yeah.
there's
It's
one
an
thing
art,
to be,
yeah.
because the scratching part and the beat juggling and stuff, that's a whole thing that club DJs are like, so those two worlds intersect as well. But there's a section of club DJs who are, I ain't doing all that scratching and shit. Like, being able to remake
DJs
a beat with scratches and stuff, like that's a lot of practice.
Yeah, it's a lot of practice. And, every turntablist is a DJ, but not every DJ is a turntablist.
There you go.
So that's what it is.
Meant.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's a very niche, specialized art form and a specialized skill that can only be, you can't fake the funk when it comes to that. You can fake the funk in the clubs. Just air horn here, siren there.
Yeah, you could yell over some shit. Next! You know what I'm saying? I fake DJs sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
And in 2016, it might have been, I don't remember exactly, it might have been 2015, 2016 when I actually, I had people push me into the scene in terms of, you're like an encyclopedia. You know a lot of music and you should be playing out at venues because why not? Right. And that was also not a goal. I was like, I don't really want to be out there. Who cares? This is fun to me. Right. So I ended up playing out. So I ended up doing both. I'm doing the turntable stuff, which that's always going to be the most fun for me. Just you have the freedom to create whatever you want, and at the beginning when you're practicing it, which is why most people drop out of the practice, is because you know what you want to hear, but you can't do it because you don't have the mechanics yet. And you don't have the foundation down and you don't have the neuromuscular connection because that has to settle in, right? It takes months.
Yeah, you have to have muscle memory of the different places where you're going to be placing your hands on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of people they quit because there's a learning curve that's very frustrating. But when you hit your milestone each month or whatever your goal is, if you want to just get the crab scratch, just keep practicing. And then, but sometimes it's as little as a small micro adjustment of your wrist and that you didn't know about, which is why it's so important to have a mentor, someone that's going to say, don't do that. Or I always ask for harsh feedback wherever necessary. And a lot of the guys won't do that because they're like, you're doing good. I'm going to be rude about it. I'm like, be rude. Like, I want to hear it because that's how I want to process it and be like, okay, I need to hear it that way. Don't sugarcoat it to me, Yeah. And so I specifically asked, don't sugarcoat it. Let me know what you think exactly. Yeah. Good and bad. Right?
Yeah, you know how to do the transformer and all that stuff. Holy.
The transform, those are easy now. Yeah. Those are easy now. This year, one of my goals was to excel or further enhance my skill level in beat juggling, which I have, and that took a lot of practice as well.
Yeah.
And then getting some advanced scratching techniques down, like the double click flare I can do now. And that, even with that, all it took was a small adjustment on my wrist and on the fader as well. So it could be a very small issue, but I always record myself, and similar to what Kobe used to do when he used to study his tapes, I'll record myself and I'll study my tapes and my hand movements.
Wow.
Just to see, where's the issue? Why can't I get it?
Listen, I feel like these techniques that you're giving here, like of the way that you work on improving the things that you're good at and that you're passionate about, are very valuable because as an audience member, you can take that and be like, you know what, I can apply some of this to like the things that I'm passionate about and
absolutely,
and excel there because from what you've described and where you are, like the things are working. You know what I'm saying? It also brings me to like, radio show.
Right.
Yeah, you had a radio show going on.
I had a radio show on Fusion Radio. It was an online radio show at U of T Scarborough. Yeah. And it was called Real Hip Hop.
Real Hip Hop.
Yeah. And it was every Monday night from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. And then over time, I was able to acquire another hour. So it ended up being 12 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay.
And I was always after this other great radio show before me called Champ Radio. And They were great. They were great guys. They were the ones that taught me a lot indirectly, just about the new stuff that's coming out. You know, they put me on a lot of music because I would listen to them right there, right before my set. My goal at that hour was just to promote and educate about real hip hop. I was such a purist at that time, and I'll use that term. But my goal was just to educate, and when you teach something, you learn it twice.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a win-win for me.
I need to write that down. When you teach something, you learn it twice. That's bars right there.
Yeah.
Holy.
Put me in the booth.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. He's really
no, keep going. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I Philosopher T.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that radio show, I did it. I think it was. I don't know how long I did it for, but I loved it. You know, and you get evaluated. You get there's a criteria, so you have to meet certain guidelines, right? And you can get guests on the show. You can discuss certain topics. You have to play a certain amount of Canadian content. So
30% CanCon.
Yeah. So I learned about just even how to talk on the mic. How do I want my intro to be? I made a little snippet intro, and then when I interview others, you know, I'm just trying to think of how can I communicate what I want to say. You know, it's still very early on, and I didn't have experience, but it was so cool to have a radio show, and then be able to DJ, and then talk about the history of hip hop. Talk about maybe today we're gonna talk about Nas, you know. Yeah. And it was fun. Again, it all comes back to do what's fun for you. But I like the point that you made about you know, just honing in on your craft is actually helping you in other areas of your life.
Yes.
So, for example, this year my goal, and I have it written down, was to win DMC Nationals for Canada. So my ability to really focus in helped me in all other areas of my life. Yeah. You know, because I would practice every day for some days it might have been 2 hours, some days 3, some days 1 hour, some days 5 hours. It depends where your mind's at that day. But for sure, I always like to get 2 hours in, and then you take that mindset and you go to the gym, because now that's your break, and now you're focused at the gym. And then that focus requires you to really dial in. And, you know, there's a lot of distractions. Yeah. People are always going to want your time. So saying no was very important. That, do you want to come out this weekend? No. Do you want to work this weekend? No. There was, leading up to the competition, like my deadlines, I gave away a lot of DJ work just because I spent the weekends I needed to be in the mind state to create and the mind state to record my sets without any external noise. Yeah. You know, because sometimes if you're practicing all day and you have a gig at night, your mind, like, even if it's 10% of it's thinking about that night shift. Yeah. It takes away from that 100%, 110% that you're supposed to be putting into your craft, and that, you know, your deadline's coming up. I'm supposed to be the best. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? There's always going to be DJ work, but this opportunity to be the best, that is now. So just getting rid of those distractions, you know, telling people I can't come out for lunch. Sorry. You know, maybe not like that. Maybe a little bit. And actually, everyone who knows me knows that was the tone. Don't even FaceTime me.
Yes, you're locked in.
Locked in. But it became easy to do that because it became a habit. So it became easy to lock in. Yeah. You know, because you just look at your phone, you put it down, and you realize you don't even want to, your energy doesn't even want to respond. You know, and a lot of what I also noticed was, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this who are super dialed in. When you're dialed in, people feel that energy, and then they want to take it away from you more. Yeah. And I think that's really a test. You know, it's a test from God. Do you really want this?
Yeah.
Do you?
How easy is it to distract you from your path? Yeah. That's basically what's being asked from up above. Is it that easy? As soon as you see a bouncing ball, you're gone. You don't really want it that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Or just having to say no to certain things that you want to do as a regular girl, you know? You want to go out, you want to meet new guys, you want to do, you know, but for right now is not the time if I'm trying to make history, you know? unless you're gonna put a ring on it, I was just not trying to.
Yeah. Well, it brings me to a question, right? As a woman in this male dominated game, okay? Has anybody ever tried you like as the DJ? Like, you know what I mean by like they try to put you in a Me Too situation. Like I see this happen with women artists, right? Like rappers, singers, and stuff like that. They'll say, "Yeah, he invited me to a studio session, but he didn't want to make no fucking music." Have you ever been in those situations?
Yeah, and they'll always try because that's just a male. I'm not knocking the males in the industry. I just think that is just part of evolution because we're wired differently. That's just a fact, right? We're nurturing. Men are out there supposed to be, dominant
like
forces.
Yeah.
That primitive feature is always going to be there. So I try just not to take it too personal because, they're always going to try. So it's not, I can't stop someone from acting a certain way, and I can't necessarily teach them, but I can manage and navigate ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's also how you respond and your boundaries. So if a guy tries, but he realizes that my response is not moving towards the direction that he was hoping for, then he will respect it. And if he doesn't, then I know that person's not for me in terms of a business relationship. If you don't respect my time or myself as an artist, as a DJ, as an engineer, then maybe you're not someone that I want around me.
Yeah.
So I kind of just look at it from that lens because, men and women are always going to go through it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that men go through it as well. Because.
But it's different. Not to interrupt you. It's different because we don't get into a situation where we might lose the opportunity because we don't want to fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's rarely.
Yeah.
Or
that's true.
It's not as often that the woman is in the position where she's the one who's going to give you the job. And if she is, she's not like, well, opens the dress and then is like, you better get down there and be a munch or you're not going to be able to get this job. Like that happens sometimes.
You thought I was feeling you?
You thought I was feeling you, right? But like it's like
gosh.
those things that become in movies.
It's a real thing.
You know what I'm saying? When you have that woman who's out there doing that, you know what I'm saying? But there's a plethora of guys who are well, if you want to get through this door, then the couch is over here kind of thing. And it's like that could get, if I was a woman, I'd be annoyed because I'm like, so you're telling me now I can't get the fucking job that I'm super, super qualified for
because there's
an expectation. You want to hit on me.
There's an expectation on their side tied to it that's personal.
And this doof that just walked in here who has half my skills, he gets it because you ain't gonna try to hit on him.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Isn't that annoying?
Yeah, it happens. It happens all the time. You just gotta push through it.
You don't seem annoyed by it. You seem very
well because I've been in the industry for so long and it's nothing new to me, right? So when you see it so often, you know what to expect after a certain time. It's almost like a expected pattern of behavior, and you go, "I've seen this before." And now you just know you don't fall for the trap.
Yeah.
It's not, come on.
No,
but it is out there where I would say that I do notice it a lot with men in position of power that will try and tie, they have personal expectations, but I will not compromise my business, just my business and my business needs for your personal gains. It's just not going to happen because at the end of the day, the male, it's just the way it is, but the male will, he'll always, it's a win-win for him. But if you don't want your name and your brand tarnished and your, everything you've worked up for can just, dissolve, or no one's going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
You don't want to ruin your reputation for something like that. It's not worth it.
Yeah. And even on your come up, like when you're achieving things, you don't want in the back of your mind, you're like, did I get here because of my merit or did I get here because I gave it up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A few more questions with like the DJing stuff, right?
For sure.
Like the art of DJing, like I respect it, obviously. Like
Yeah.
I you know, I'm an old school hip hop head, and I'm from that time where the DJ and the rapper were like as one,
Oh,
right?
I love
Like,
that. Yeah.
you know, he's the DJ and I'm the rapper, from DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Jazzy Jeff's name was first in the moniker. Like, it was Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Eric B and Rakim.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you think that DJs get the same respect now, like in
No.
2022? And why not?
There's so many reasons why. I think that when you're describing an era where the DJ was the backbone of hip hop, right? If you're an artist, then it was a lot harder to get your music out. So you'd rely on the DJ. You know, I have this new single. Can you please play it on your radio show? And during those times, you can't get every artist that's coming at you with that.
Yeah.
And you can't put them on rotation, right? So you're really relying on local DJs, like, please play my track.
Yeah.
And you have to get your stuff pressed on vinyl. It's a lot easier today. You can shoot out your MP3s to everybody.
You could just upload.
Yeah. It's a simple upload. But back then, it's like, even when you think about 50 Cent, and he sold physical copies. How impressive is that? And he had to do that. Right, today it's very digital. It's a very digital world.
Yeah.
I think that not just with DJing, I think that with a lot of other industries and a lot of careers, there's a loss of art in it. You know, people are just, they don't care as much, you know? And I remember seeing this a year ago or so during the pandemic, where someone started off, you know, I want to be a DJ. Cool. Do it. You know, do it. But 6 months in, you cannot be holding a workshop teaching DJ 101, which is
like the person is a teacher now? That's crazy.
There's 6 months is a very short time period to be able to, you know, to gain the knowledge and the experience that you want in order to teach someone else.
Fam, you probably don't even know how to mix well at that point.
Yeah, probably still don't.
6 months?
Yes,
Come on.
6 months is you know, you're still wondering what your DJ name may be, right? It's a short time period. But I always tell people, you got to put your decade in. That's your starting point. Your starting point is putting your decade in and just working a lot and working the right way. And I think, yeah, it's become a little bit, you know, it's a lot more accessible. You can go into any music store, pick up a controller, which they're a lot cheaper than Techniques in 1200s, right?
Yeah.
They're a lot cheaper. Where can you get the music? You can just subscribe to record pools, grab the music from there.
Or just pull them off of the
your friend has
videos.
Yeah. You could rip it, or you have a friend that works at you know, a club or a venue. Okay, I want to plug me in. I want a DJ. Yeah. Right. So it's not so much it's not so much skill based anymore. It's more clout based. And I don't like that word, but
yeah.
You can tell who cares about their craft, right? Even when it comes to writers. If you're a good writer, you can tell. But everyone's trying to be a writer these days.
Yeah. There was a thing that I'm looking for here on my Instagram, where there was a DJ playing at a party.
I've seen it.
Right?
And there was not,
it was empty boxes.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of been happening for a while. But just like people just bringing like their pre-made mixes,
which is common as well.
Doing this, and like
I've seen that.
I've seen this a few times.
I've seen people do that, and I've actually ghost recorded a set for someone.
Hold on. What are you saying to me right now, fam? Fuck.
Yeah.
Because I've, you know, when it comes to like hip hop purists, as we call ourselves, right? Ghostwriting is not always the most favorable thing.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that you ghost DJ'd, fam?
Yeah, I ghost in terms of, so I coined that term, but it just means that someone came to me for a DJ service and said, I want a 10-minute or 15-minute DJ set. Can you do it? And then, I charged them and I did it.
This is crazy.
And it was a bunch of house music, but it was a pretty dope mix. And I never did it after that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I thought the same thing you did. What is going on? You know, I don't want to condone this. And
and it's not his mix. That's so crazy. Like, it's already fucked up to do the mix at home.
Yeah.
And then now you're like literally pretending to DJ at the venue. But on top of that, it's not your mix.
Yeah. So
hurt.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, there's a lot of acts that simply do that.
Mhm.
Most of their sets are pre-recorded, especially some of the bigger guys. And but you can always tell because, you know, like I said, I'm detail oriented. So if I'm watching a video online that's viral,
Mhm.
and you know that the hand motions don't match up to the audio,
Yeah.
and even a small thing like a chirp, I can if your hand's not on the fader and I hear a chirp or something small like a baby scratch and it wasn't done on time, that's a dead giveaway. So
for you,
for me, yeah,
and turntablists and other like DJs that have that eye, I ain't seeing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's
you
true.
know what I'm saying? So it's good for like the percentage of people who have that trained eye, but for the rest of us, we're like, whoa,
That's dope.
That's dope.
So yeah, I think at that point I said, you know what? I think that's always gonna be there. There's and for me, the way that I think about things is that, you know, it's not just our industry, but the reel will always have longevity, and that was truly evident after the pandemic. There was a million DJs that switch paths.
Yeah.
And I can't hate you for that. You know, you got to get your bread and do and support yourself and your family or whatnot. But you didn't last. And
they didn't do what D-Nice did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, longevity is with those who actually care and they want to carry the craft forward and inspire and, you know, teach the next generation of artists and DJs and whatnot. But those who, if it's just a gimmick to you, then it won't last. And that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not really too worried about it, but I think the concern of today is the fact that I feel like we're sort of seeing a generation of kids that are growing up on TikTok. So they're seeing it, but they don't understand what greatness takes.
Yeah.
They just see 15 seconds of a pre-recorded set and they think I can do this, or that it was so easy that they may not, you know, they're thinking, I don't need to take the foundational steps of practicing 2 hours a day. One of my friends who's, you know, he works for the CEBL and he said, you train like my players. Like you practice for 2-3 hours, you're sweating, you're drinking Gatorade, you know? And I was like, yeah, that's what it takes. And I'm just getting started, you know, to get to a world level means a lot to me. And, you know, hard work pays off, which is the truest thing.
Yeah.
But you're always going to have, you know, people who don't care about it or they're not, you know, they're in it for other reasons, right? So this individual that the ghost recording, I know that's how I ghost DJ. Yeah.
Ghost DJ. That's the first time I've ever heard of anything like this.
Yeah.
Even with the DJing, like with the way that we've gotten to where we are now. Back in the days, DJs used to break a lot of records. Like, you know, Funk Flex, if he's dropping bombs on your record, now you got a hit. But it's changed over the years. Can DJs still break records? And if so, how?
I believe so. And I really try my best to do it just through consistency. And the way that I do it is, okay, if there's a record that, you know, the venue, you know, the crowd at the venue may not know or are familiar with, because you know how Toronto crowds are. If they're not super responsive to stuff they don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little bit challenging in that way. But to me, I don't care because it's part of my duty. You know, this artist is spending a lot of time trying to make it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and help you. So the way that I do it, I'll play every set. And sometimes you could sandwich it in between two popular tracks. You know, you can play a Drizzy track and then play the artist track if it's in the same line, you know, if it's in the same tempo or same key, and you kind of do it that way. You massage it in, and then after that, I might play like Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
I might play Love. And then it kind of gets their brain going. Like, what was that? That that feels nice. So I'll try and break records that way, share with other DJs, or I think we still have the capacity to do it through consistency and just creatively, just doing it more creatively.
Yeah.
But you just try and get regular rotation for the artist, because no one else is gonna do it. It's up to the DJs, and that's I'm
glad that you have that sentiment, because I feel like a lot of DJs are starting to drop that off of their mind state, like where they're just like, I ain't even trying to do that anymore. And like it kind of brings me to my next question, because they're kind of like, I don't want to break the record, and for here in Toronto specifically, it can get dicey breaking a record. So it's like, I don't even want to bother anymore, because when I play this guy's record, this guy pressures me because he's from the other side. Have you ever had to deal with that type of issue?
Yeah. You mean on a political?
Yeah.
A political standpoint?
The Pollies, like, why are you playing that? Yo, turn that off, fam. Have you ever gotten that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Those venues that I sort of started up at, I was just trying to get work experience as a DJ, and Steels and Weston was probably not.
Yo.
I was all in. I was like, what do you need?
Gangster party.
It was,
Yeah.
You're just trying to get experience as a DJ, get your name out there. And but when you're trying to think about exit routes before and after, it's a little bit, that's when you got to start questioning, do I need to be here anymore? I should probably find somewhere else to DJ.
Yeah.
But at that time, you're just excited about opportunities. And that's just the way that it goes. It's part of the game, unfortunately. But I'm also mindful about, studying the characters. Like, who's here? How is this individual responding to that? Just body language.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes when they come up to me and they say, play this song, and then I'll just quickly see what it is. And I will maybe not play it because it just may not be a good idea. I'm more mindful about it, but it's happened before where I'll play a song and you look at the other side of the room and they look like they want to attack the DJ. And it's
that's so crazy to me.
Yeah, and as a girl too, you're thinking, like, what did I get myself into? But this guy who's requesting a song is throwing hundreds at you, and you're like, all right, I just probably not. I'm not in the streets. I'm from Scarborough. I don't have Pollies. I don't have ops. I don't have fake ops. I post my location. This is not. I do music. That's all I want to do. But if we can stay away from the politics, I prefer doing that.
And you'll get your song played.
Keep it safe. I think,
Did that deter you? The last thing on that thing, on the subject here, does that deter you sometimes from even wanting to play Toronto artists because of the Pollies that happen over here? Because I know with show promoters and stuff like that deters them from having some of our favorite Toronto artists perform.
Right.
But like even getting the music played is like, you know what? I'm not going to play this because it's not even worth the drama.
It's definitely a challenge, and it's something that we always have to be thinking about. What could I possibly get myself into if I play this? Because if you play it, then maybe the way that the other side might think about it is that you're with this group. So now you've gotten yourself into something without even knowing it. You just have to be extremely mindful about what you're doing. But I'd say that, for sure it sometimes deters you because you don't know whose nerve you struck. You didn't even know. You could be even shooting a music video and you have no idea what you're doing. In terms of that could be dangerous filming, right?
Come on. Like I just feel that that's just so annoying to have to think about, like when we're all trying to make it in the city to another like an international level, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true. And even when it comes to recording artists, I primarily have my guy G Milla, and phenomenal artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've sort of built a great like artist engineer relationship. We have a great dynamic in the studio. And I totally understand like what he's saying. And it's gotten to the point where I'm very interactive during a session. So if I give you advice, I want to do this, let's layer this, put ad libs here, he knows. And then I know it's almost telepathic, you find that dynamic, but it's difficult to find an artist in the city that is on the same page in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I think the challenge other engineers may fall into is that, the Pollies, as you called it, they're willing to pay for studio time. They may just want a space. They're ready to go. And you're like, damn, like I'm going to have to respectfully decline.
Yeah. Like I could take the money, but then now my life's on the line.
Yeah. You just don't know. Yeah. You can't ever be too sure. And I'm not sure if other cities are like that. I'm sure it is. I'm sure, but it's a little bit, Toronto's a small city, right?
Yeah. And like, I feel like the spotlight has been put on a lot of it. And I guess sometimes with like, media doesn't always help neither, but there's cities that have their set of problems, but certain cities, it stands out more than others, like Toronto, Chicago,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Jacksonville, like there's different cities that were like, this is like
even Memphis,
right? Like it's a part of like it's a roadblock in like really taking it over the top. You know what I'm saying?
If we can eradicate that issue, of course, and in a heartbeat, right? So that we can put Toronto at the forefront of everything, because in my opinion, we have the most talented artists in the world, the most talented producers, greatest songwriters, DJs.
Yeah.
That's just, it's a fact. It's not even a bias.
No,
it's a fact.
It's been a proven fact over and over again. Like we put out so many different actors, it's crazy.
We have amazing talent that comes out of here and that continuously comes out of here. So imagine how much stronger it could be. It's a convoluted issue though, because it starts deeper than just this side and that side.
Yeah.
So one of my future goals is actually to just work with youth, and then and sort of get involved in that way musically, because I don't think that a lot of youth are tapping into this curiosity and using their minds properly. I think that this social media presence of it's too much. We're not supposed to be stimulated in that way every 2 seconds. They're looking for the next gratification when really we should be focused on delayed gratification. So that's what we need to be focusing on. You work hard for this number of years, put your faith in yourself and your work, you will see a huge result rather than right now, which is, kids just want the latest, greatest this. They want a quick win for everything, rather than just putting in the work. So I think that's one of the issues, just trying to help their minds and grow the right way. Yeah.
No, that's real talk.
Yeah.
Like for like my wrap up question, right? It's the recurring question that I ask all my guests. You've had, or you have an illustrious career in this music game through the DJing. You got the studio that we're in over here that just looks dope. All the rooms, everything. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
And you learned a lot over the years. What's one thing that you wish you knew then that you know now?
About the music industry?
Just everything, that your journey, period.
You want just one answer? Or you want a few?
You can give me a couple if you want.
Because one of the top ones is that, just have confidence in yourself. Just have confidence in yourself early.
Yeah.
And be able to back it up. Don't just be confident without any evidence of what you're claiming to be or what you claim to do. Believe that you can be great. If you have a burning desire for something and you feel it, whether it's art, whether it's you want to be the greatest, I don't know, you want to work on Bay Street, whatever, the greatest banker, but you have a burning desire for something, I think that don't ignore it. That is definitely your God-given voice and talent.
Yeah.
Don't suppress it. if you know you can be good at something, work towards it. And if you love it, do it. But don't be passive about it, and don't let others, diminish that belief in yourself. Just because this individual doesn't understand music and maybe doesn't understand your passion, and now they might switch your mind. They might deter you from your goals simply because they don't believe in you. But I believe, I always felt it. Right. I remember I had a friend, and he goes, this was at U of T when I loved what I studied. Till this day, I love what I studied.
Yeah.
But he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, music. He said, you can't do that. And from that day forward, I was like, I'm not going to listen to him. It could be because you're not me. You don't do it like me.
Yeah.
He gave up on DJing, right? He doesn't do this. I do this, So I would say have that belief in yourself, be able to back it up through the work you put in. But yeah, make sure that you put in the work, right? You want to have the results. Another tip that I would give to just, in the music industry in general is just be aware of who's around you and who's selling dreams, so to speak, rather than who's really about their work and what they're trying to accomplish and achieve. If someone says, I want to work with you, or, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The conversation is the same between a dream seller and someone who actually does it.
That's a fucking bar right there. Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah. But
it's coming from a different type of person. You have someone who's ambitious versus someone who may be actually just lying, So, but they're saying the same thing to you. So be mindful of characters and actual behavior. So people who follow through with their word, those, time and time again, if they follow through on their word, especially in the music industry, then, keep them closer and than the ones that don't. But a lot of the times, you'll have people in the industry promising you this, promising you that. And you put in your time, effort, and it's a good lesson to learn though.
Yeah.
But we all go through it. But I would definitely say, believe in yourself, be around like-minded individuals. And focus on self as well. Focus on yourself. You collaboration is amazing, but you have to get yourself to a point. Not, you don't wait to be discovered. You got to make it happen for yourself, which I learned that throughout the journey. I wasn't really thinking about that early on. Early on when I was sort of practicing and, I love music so much, everyone's going to see it. And maybe this individual is going to reach out to me and I'll be able to have this opportunity. You got to be the shark for yourself. Sometimes I don't know if it's a Toronto culture, but we feel like more passive about it.
Yeah. And
every time I go to New York and I see how they're shark attack on everything, they get everything done quick, fast. Everything's super. They're very results oriented.
They're on it,
they're on it. You need something printed. It could be anything. You need something printed out now. Reach out to this manager now. No one waits on it here. I feel like it's a lot slower. We want to catalyze the process. It's a little, because then the essence in your window of opportunity may be gone.
Yeah.
There's too much overthinking, I feel here. So don't,
You're right about that.
Yeah, there's too much overthinking, and now, you think you're going to wait for the perfect moment and the perfect time to do something, and then you realize 2 years have passed and you've never dropped an album. But there is no perfect. We want to be working towards perfection, but just because I'm detailed and I'm always aiming, progression's always going to be there for me. So I know that when I look back at the previous month, okay, today I'm better than when it was a month ago, 2 months ago, and so on. Next month I'm going to be better than where we are today.
Yeah.
I already know. Progression is already in my list of goals. Perfection is what I'm trying to get close to. I know it doesn't exist in a sense, but I'm trying to get as close as possible to it.
Yeah.
But I think the issue is that I'm not going to wait during this time period. Whereas I feel like in Toronto, we wait we think there's a moment in time where like, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm. And
It
you'll be
doesn't,
waiting forever.
You're going to be waiting forever.
Yeah.
So just make it happen for yourself. Take risks, calculated risks if you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got to make business sense. It's got to make sense to you. Yeah, make it happen for yourself. Just be a shark. Be a shark for yourself. Don't wait for the manager of your dreams that doesn't exist. You know, I the way that I approach things now, especially this year, is that I wake up every day as if someone's trying to win my title. And it motivates me. I need that little bit of fiery anger, not just because I'm a Sagittarius. But I need that. You know, sometimes I'll message my friend and he knows how to get the spark going. He'll text me in the mornings just to talk smack, you know, and be like, yo, this person said this. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, you just got me going. I'm gonna practice way more. I'm gonna dig for more samples, you know. I'm gonna go to the gym harder. So you just don't rely on others. You know, you are your own crutch. There's good people out there. I don't wanna put that, you know, I don't wanna give the impression that you can't work with anybody, but definitely it is a solo effort for a long time until you meet the right people.
It's all on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's jewelry that you just dropped on our head tops right there. Yo,
thank you.
You know, DJ T Jr., you know what I'm saying? Do you have any things coming up in the next couple of months, or what can we expect for early 2023?
Early 2023. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I've already been, you know, thinking and planning for next year.
Okay.
The immediate goal right now is DMC Worlds. So the deadline for that is November 18th. And, you know, at the top of the year, I definitely think that I want to continue it. So just getting better and continuing that. And like I said, a long-term goal is to work with youth and tap into that. Continue working with my artists, G Milla and others, you know, and looking out for work that comes out of that. But just keeping it moving, you know, that's
Dope.
Yeah.
Give the people your social medias and let the people know where they could find you, whether it's social media or any other platform that you want people to find you on.
Social media, it's going to be at DJ T Jr. So at DEEJAY That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, TikTok, which I only have 2 posts on there.
You gotta get your post up, yo.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, I'm still in that middle child, you know, feeling where it's like, do I enter this world?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Is this how can I do it to suit my style while not, you know, you don't want to get left behind. You want to adapt to the current times. But yeah, that's my handle. And I just look forward to continuing the work and contributing to this amazing art form and culture and everything.
Yeah. Listen, we look forward to receiving it, yo.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Also, I want to give a quick salute. I didn't do it in the beginning because I'm usually smoking during the interviews and stuff. But salute to our sponsors, Astro Pink. I think I got a bag here. You know, if you know, you know. Check them out on their Instagram page, Astro at Astro_Pink, and check them out on their website, myastropink.com. I think I want to take us out here with some music here.